Get ready and tune into the Doctor's Guide podcast, raw and unfiltered, a unique platform to help you optimize your health through dynamic role playing, real life challenges with expert guests and your host, Dr. Bart Rademaker. This is the Doctor's Guide podcast, and my name is Bart Rademaker, and I'm very excited to be sharing the show with you for a lot of different reasons. And the main one is, how do you actually navigate this overwhelming world of information about what it is that you can do for your health? I mean, who is it that you can actually trust? And my purpose that I've had for so many years is to help the consumer, guide that consumer with, relatable information that they can then get the right insight and then make the right action step for themselves. But again, how do you navigate all that information? And so this show is not about navigating that specific information. Is this product better than that product? And should you do this? And should you do that? But we're going to give you the tools, the process by which you can make the right decisions for yourself. And so I'm doing that with some really cool people. And they're either, health professionals. They are in the business of health. And they're going to give you some role playing of real-time situations that they've either experienced, they've seen it somewhere else. We're going to make it fun. We're going to make it entertaining so that you can potentially see yourself in that situation, especially if you're a parent and you have kids. I know what that's like, and I think we're going to be talking a little bit about that today, right? And then to give you an insight as to, okay, what can you do next? So I'd like to welcome Yarona, Boste, and Robert, which I don't have your last name yet, but I'm going to have you introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, and then we're going to go into the role playing. Yarona.
I'm Yarona Boste, and I am actually from New Jersey, so I'm coming to you on the East Coast. I am an advanced certified life coach. I specialize in parenting, in infertility, loss, and trauma. I'm in the midst of writing a book, a parenting book. And Robert and I are now co-hosting a podcast called The Evolution of Parenting.
Awesome. Robert.
My name is Robert Hulse. I'm currently living in the Atlanta area by way of many places, born and raised in Indiana, lived overseas. I do life coaching now, but I was a pharmacist before. I did youth ministry. But most importantly, related to this endeavor, I spent 27 years as a primary caregiver for our 3 children.
That's a big job. Whoa. So you're the expert ultimately, right?
Ooh,
so
maybe.
I think so. I mean, between the 3 of us, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe I'm out of playing, talking out of turn, but I just had a talk with you and I can hear with your background, your depth of knowledge in taking care of our kids, which, by the way, is one of the most important things that we need to focus as a society, which unfortunately we don't do as well. But anyhow, this is about fun. This is about role playing. And so the rules are this. You get 3 minutes. Participant 1 is going to act out a specific role. They're going to share with us who they are and what the topic is. And then participant 2 will then give that response as a health provider. And then we're going to wrap it up with some conversations afterwards. The idea is you get a very good insight of something that might be very relevant for you and an action step that you may take. Now, one disclaimer that I always have to share, this is not giving you medical advice. This is just sharing with you experiences so that you can make the right decisions for yourself. And as a listener, what you're going to want to do is figure out for yourself, what's appropriate, because I don't know you. I don't know what your problems are. Everybody's unique. We are just sharing a process by which you can uncover the truth for you so that you can have an optimum health. So Yarona, you get to go first. Then, okay. Before that, okay, one fun fact about you, Yarona, that you want to share.
Fun fact. Let's see. I have no. I'm going. I don't know if it's a fun fact for other people, but I'm going to Israel, and it was a sudden last-minute decision. And I hope that I'm not ruining the surprise. So I'm going to make sure somebody this is a surprise for doesn't hear this right away.
All right.
But
Well,
it's
we'll
lots
just
of
air the
editing.
show right after you go, so it won't be a surprise.
There you go.
There
There you
you go. All right, Robert, one fun fact about you.
Fun fact for me, I am sitting here. You can't see it on camera. You obviously can't hear it, but I love to build Lego. So I am surrounded by all of my Lego building sets. Some of them are in the corner ready to build, but Lego is one of those things that I really enjoy doing in my small amount of spare time that I have.
Wow. And that must be the kid factor, because I grew up with Legos and love Legos and haven't played with them forever, but my favorite toy. So my fun fact, we may be surprised in this show. I have a cat hiding somewhere. I have no idea where it is, but suddenly it may appear and kind of disrupt the entire show. One last thing I do want to say, I got my amazing team with me. That is Tanya Ogalesco and Camelia Sahat, and they will be participating in one form or another. I may be calling on them, or they can jump in, whatever. All right, Yarona, you're up. 3 minutes.
Okay. Dad, I've decided to go on this new diet. It's called the jelly bean steak diet. Yeah, so it's so cool. You cook the steak until it's about halfway done, and then you stick jelly beans in it, and then like you have to have like about 10 jelly beans per steak, and that's all I'm going to be having. That's it. I don't want to drink. You're not supposed to drink water. You're not supposed to do anything other than just have jelly beans and steak all day long. And I think it's the coolest diet. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to do, Dad. So let's go to the store. I got to pick up my steak and jelly beans.
Yarona, I have always appreciated your independence and your way of thinking. And ever since you turned 16, it's been just a joy to watch you unfold how you want to live your life. So it sounds like you've done a little bit of research. You had a couple of things in there that might be exploratory. But here's the thing. You're going to be out of the house in a couple of years, and I can sit here and I can tell you exactly what's right, what's wrong, what to do, what not to do. And then you're going to get to college and you're going to be sitting there reading information about steak and jelly bean diets. And I may not be as accessible as I am right now. So my approach to this is going to be, as it always has been, what do you think you're going to get out of this? And what might you be missing in thinking about just eating steak and jelly beans?
Well, like, I mean, Lisa's doing it, and I saw a TikTok about it, and like I know all my friends are getting on this diet, so I think it's really the right way to go, because I know that that Jessie lost like 20 pounds when she did it. So I mean, what more do I need to know? She lost 20 pounds doing this diet, so I think it works. So I don't know why you're like telling me. I mean, like you're a cool dad and all, but seriously, like sometimes you need to get with the times. Like this is what it's at, and like it works. It works because other people I know did it. And yeah.
It works. It works. Okay. I heard you mention Lisa. I heard you mention another friend who lost 20 pounds. I heard you mention TikTok. What did you see on these that showed you that it worked?
They lost weight. Like they lost weight. So that's what I want to do. I want to lose some I just want to lose a little bit of weight. You know? I mean, like prom is coming up and everything, and so like that's what I want to do. I don't know why it's such a problem. I just want to lose some weight.
That's fair. That's fair. Did they share with you everything they were doing to lose that weight? Or did they just kind of maybe share their jelly bean steak diet?
Well, like like Jessie said that she did this for like 2 weeks, and yeah, she was like a little tired and everything.
3 minutes.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I know what they're doing. What do you mean? Like I need to know more? Oh.
What if you just follow up with some of these and see if there's anything else that added to their weight loss besides the jelly beans and the steak?
All right. I guess I'll ask. I just want to do what my friends are doing, so, you know.
That's fair. I understand.
Great. So, some feedback for me first. Excellent. Well done. Teenager, dad. That was incredibly well done. I have to say that. And I totally felt, you know, the teenager going there and expressing herself with what limited perspective they have on the world, right? And then how the dad, with empathetically feeling into, their teenager, and then helping them guide, with their specific dilemma, if you will, because what we're talking about really is a dilemma that these kids find themselves in and don't have a clear pathway out. So excellent, both of you guys. I give you both a 9 out of 10s, and I love the whole interplay. I'm going to ask Yarona just briefly any feedback from you that you got out of it, and then Robert, and then we're just going to unpack some of the issues here that I'm going to ask you first to share with me, and then I'll give you my 2 cents. But well, not 2 cents, my $1 million worth of information. All right, so Yarona, so how was that for you?
It was good. It was funny that I was so stuck in the teen brain that I was just thinking about my friends, my friends, my friends. And like I was putting myself in that box of like, I don't need to know more than this. I'm going to keep my blinders on. Like, this is what's going on within my little world. I don't need more than my little world tells me. And it was a fresh reminder that sometimes it's like, it's really hard, especially for teenagers, to get their to have their blinders removed, and parents who try to tear the blinders off through shame, embarrassment, and demeaning, that's not helpful.
Well,
but
let's talk more about that in a moment, right? Because I just wanted to get your sense of what you're trying to portray and who you were. And then I really want to unpack what you just shared, because I think that's really important for people to be aware of. Robert, your turn. Just real briefly, how was that for you? And what was it you're trying to do?
That was very consistent on how I parented, so I felt very comfortable in that space.
I see that, yeah.
We didn't talk about the jelly bean steak thing ahead of time, so I'm trying to think in my head, how do I respond to jelly bean and steak? But you can ask my kids, that's fairly consistent. I'm all about, well, what'd you learn from that, or what don't you know, or what do you need to know? So felt pretty comfortable.
Sweet. And again, I felt totally into it. So so one of the things I think that's really important, and the topic today is, how do you coach your own kids? And one brief experience of my own is that once I realized that my greatest teachers were my own kids, and learning from them versus being that rigid parent, instructing them what to do, and actually not giving myself the time or them the time to actually appreciate the ongoing situation. And so I learned through personal transformation work that get into the shoes of the kid, understand their model of the world, understand what it is that they're seeing, and try to navigate them through that process. And one great example that I always like to give is, if my child is happily walking through the living room and drops the candy wrapper on the floor, rather than scolding him, because no one likes to be scolded, is simply, it says, oh, does that belong there? So just being curious to the question and letting them kind of decide what to do. But let's start off with what Yarona was sharing earlier, because I think that's really relevant. You both have tons of experience in this field, so I feel very privileged that we get to hear from you, so that parents out there can begin to navigate in a better way how to help their kids make the best choices.
Yes. So, I want to say one thing too. This is a conversation I was just having with somebody about brain development, because that's my background is 15 years in early childhood development. And when you think about a teenager's brain, their emotional state is really hyper focused. It's a lot of emotional leading, a lot, and very little critical decision making. So one of the things that I see that happens between parents and children is the parents thinking critically with the appropriate decision-making process. The children are not. And instead of helping your child, like Robert was aiming to do, helping your child investigate it from a more like learning process rather than shaming them, blaming them, criticizing them, demeaning them, putting them down. Oh, that's such a stupid diet idea. That's ridiculous. You can't lose weight that way, and it's so unhealthy, and da 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 da. You're belittling their experience, which is, again, very blinders on, emotional based centric thinking. Follow my friends, all of that sort of stuff. Follow what makes sense to me in my small world. And I think the healthy perspective of that coach mentality is start with inquiry and no shame, no judgment, no belittlement. And you'll get a lot more of a healthy thought process from your child, because you'll start to help them think critically.
So it's all about giving them the tools for number one, awareness, right? You know, what's relevant in this particular situation, and then the tools to navigate, to make that, to have the discernment to make a better decision. Did I hear you right?
Yeah, definitely.
Robert, thoughts?
To your point you made earlier about the internet and the information out there, if we don't help our kids figure out how to navigate it themselves, they're going to end up as adults that just depend on the first click that they come to. So one of the things that's always been important to me, and I think I tried to do it a little bit in the role play, is to help the child, the person, my adult kid, whatever, understand that there's probably always more information out there than what you're actually seeing in the moment. And trying to figure out, how much do you know about this? How much do you not know? And how much do you understand about the consequence, the potential consequence to the thing that you're about to engage in, is helping them differentiate between, oh, I saw this come up on TikTok, so it's got to be true, or I saw this come up on my news feed, it's got to be true. Somebody posted on Facebook, it's got to be true. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not judging those posts, but I'm trying to get them to understand how they can judge those posts in a healthier and a more understanding way.
Right. You know, I think there's so many distractions out there that are just leading everyone astray, and it's unfortunate because all those distractions are actually self-serving for whatever purpose. And quite frankly, I mean, you can't criticize that, because that's how our brain works. I mean, our survival brain, has a certain algorithm that's going to go and follow, so that it can make sure it gets what it needs. And in the world of neurolinguistic programming, we all understand that all behavior is motivated by positive intent. And now it may be bad behavior, but the brain doesn't recognize that yet. And so I think it's incumbent on people like yourselves, and anybody on the show, that is helping people, guide them with better principles that are very relatable, very applicable. And this is the purpose of the doctor's guide, right? Is to curate and educate and then guide, so that people can make those better choices. And ultimately, people have to make their own decision. As a plastic and reconstructive surgeon, my job was always give my patients all the information they need, and then they make the decision. So ultimately, and I appreciate what you're alluding to earlier, Robert, is you're letting your kids make the decisions. You're not telling them what to do, but giving that information in advance gives them the opportunity, as Yarona was saying, is to learn. Learn what's true, and at least hear what somebody else thinks is true, and then later on learn, oh yeah, that was true. So maybe that person is so believable, I better listen to them all the time. Fortunately, I have one daughter. My two older boys don't, but my one daughter listens to me all the time. So clearly she's the smart one. Yarona, what else would you like to share?
I want to make a point too about something you said earlier. You said you learned that your children are your best teachers. I think that we do all of ourselves a disservice when we pick a teacher in the dynamic and a student in the dynamic. I think we're all students and we're all teachers. So when I see the parent-child relationship, I look at the parent has things to learn from the child, because the child is growing up in a new generation. For instance,
Yep.
Our kids are much more naturally geared towards technology. They have a natural bent towards it because it's the only thing that they know. It's their lived experience, right? So they have a lot to teach us about that, the ins and outs of that. But we as the adults also have a better understanding based off of our world knowledge and experience and things of that nature. So I think there are so many dynamics where we can both be the teacher and the student and learn from each other. And I think we forget that. We always feel like there's, in a role of two people, there needs to be one person who's the dominant and one person who's the dominated. And I don't think that that is beneficial or a balanced approach to parenting.
I totally agree, and I'm gonna let you. I'll give you a second, Robert. But one thing I recently learned from a beautiful soul called Sean Callaghy in his Unblinded, and to be honest, the inspiration for this show was because of him. So I'm very blessed and thankful for him. But one thing I learned through his processing is framing, and and I'm thinking about that as you're talking about, these two roles or places the we are. And so understanding their frame and our own frame. So understanding the child's frame and our own frame, and recognizing that our own frame is not in alignment with theirs. Our timeline is not in alignment with theirs. Our obligations are not in line with theirs. And so to try to navigate their world in all the, let's say, baggage, right, unfortunately, or requirements, it isn't suitable. And so we have to step out of our own frame as to what's going in our life, the stresses that are going in our life, and everything else, and understand theirs. And I'm going to give one beautiful example that I use all the time, and then I'm going to give Robert an opportunity. But just imagine a child 3 years old, right? And they're playing with their Legos, and it's their masterpiece, and their masterpiece is Legos all over the floor, right? And then here comes the harried, tired, angry parent, comes in the house, sees the mess, not the art, not the masterpiece, but sees the mess and yells at the kid. And unfortunately, that leaves a serious imprint on that child. And so again, we have to step out of our frame, going into the child's frame, and recognize, whoa, this is a cool thing you've created here. Robert, your turn.
Absolutely. And I wanted to key off a little bit of what Yarona was saying about the give and take on the student teacher paradigm a little bit. One of the things that I, as the parent, should have taken away from that conversation with my 16-year-old teenager who wants to do jelly beans and steak is that, oh my gosh, there's this influence on her life that I need to be aware of. Now, as a guy that's almost 60 years old, there are domains out there that I could care less about participating in. I'm not going to name them, but because it doesn't matter. But the point is that if I'm not taking that in and saying like, wow, I need to understand what this influence is. I need to understand where she's getting this information. I need to understand what this language is. If I come at her as the guy who knows it all and only have my 6 decades of experience to draw from, I'm not growing and learning myself. So I really can't help her most or more if I don't take her conversation and her input and her experience as an opportunity for me to reflect on my own.
I love it. So
Can I just ask you, did you, Bart, did you just see my living room? Is that what you were talking about? Because when you were talking about the 3-year-old, I'm picturing what's happening and what's in my living room at this very moment.
Well, you know what, Yarona, to be honest with you, and I'm not ashamed to say this, and people can think whatever they want to think, but if you look at my studio right now, it's like a Florida hurricane just went through it. So maybe I got you beat. We'll compare. Robert, I want you to give us one insight that you want us to know, and then Yarona, give us one actionable step. And if you both want to do both, that's fine.
One insight I'd like people to take away is that you never stop learning and growing. It doesn't matter how old you are, there's always something new for you to explore and understand. And you may not agree with it, you may not want to go there, but it's worth exploring, it's worth understanding, because you need to be able to relate to people of all ages and not just the ones that are in your domain.
Love it. Yarona?
And I would say, before you step in with judgment or your automatic opinion of the situation, step in with empathy first. Try to place yourself in your child's shoes and understand that they're coming again from their narrow-brained perspective of their small world. Step into that place, put yourself there, and allow yourself to move forward with, well, how can I course correct? If this was me learning something, how can I course correct in this moment?
Love it. And I'm going to share this, is that we all do the best we can with the resources that we have. And if we just can step into the world of the child, knowing what resources they have, and pretty much, as you're both saying, help the child access those resources so that they can make a better decision, but ultimately just love them for who they are when they make the bad ones too. Awesome. So this wraps it up. I'd like Yarona first to share how people get a hold of you, and one final comment from you.
True. You can reach me. You can find me best on my website, footprintscoaching.org. Footprints, that's a plural, coaching.org. And let's see, what was the other question? Because my brain was so fixated.
Any final comment you want to share with us?
Parenting is not easy. I'm going to tell you this, parenting is not easy. Being human is not easy, and nobody ever promised that it would be. So remember that you're going to make mistakes, and it's not always going to be easy, but it can be really rewarding.
And have empathy on yourself, right?
Absolutely.
Robert.
Awesome. You can reach me if you want to email me at lifecoachrobert63@gmail.com, lifecoachrobert63@gmail.com. I've got a website, warpandweftlifecoaching.com, warpandweftlifecoaching.com. It's right there. You can go take a look and see some of the other things I do. I want to just reiterate that what you two just said. Give yourself grace. Parenting is inherently a mistake. It's not a mistake-free zone. You're going to make mistakes. Give yourself some grace, just as you want to give your children grace as they're learning.
I love that. Yeah, and give yourself permission to be human. Well, I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, and this is the Doctor's Guide. And again, the whole purpose is to give you a process, relate to a process, not just lecture on a process, but kind of experience that process by which we make decisions. Because I think the biggest challenge that we have is that there's so much amazing content out there, and a lot of nonsense content out there too. And so the challenge is, how do you filter those out? And even I, as a medical professional with tons of training, years in practice, sometimes I get confused. And so the ultimate is, and what my mission is to make, health optimization available, easily accessible, and affordable for everyone. And so I'm working on a lot of different fronts, but the primary one right now is creating this beautiful ecosystem of brilliant and cool people and fun people like Yarona and Robert that you can also tap into and reach out to them for any kind of advice or coaching that you can get from them. Because again, it is a process. It's not about a product, but it's how you make those decisions. Just like we shared how we're going to give the resources to our children to make better decisions. And I want to tell you that you're not alone. And so understand that. So reach out to believable sources. There's tons of amazing people out there that are excited and happy to help you. But again, ultimately, you're the one responsible, accountable for making the decision. Even if you go to a medical doctor, you're the one. And so it's incumbent on you to do the research. And again, reach out to us if you can, if you want to. And I also have a mobile app, the Doctor's Guide, and you can find that in the links below, as well as the links of both Yarona and Robert. Yarona, Robert, thank you so much. And we'll be back. Thank you for listening to The Doctor's Guide, an innovative approach to help you navigate the complexities of your health journey with Dr. Bart Rademaker and his expert guests. Tune in to more insights and action steps in our next episode every weekday at 6 p.m. Eastern.